Hello, 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 everybody, and welcome back. Um, I think I fixed this now. Y'all can hear me, I do believe. So I believe I have fixed this finally, as I'm more or less done. I'm more or less done with going with YouTube.com en direct. Come on, dia à la belle province. Welcome to the Sean Starr Show. I am Sean Starr. Good to be with you wherever you're watching me today. Don't forget, I can always be reached. My email inbox is open at inthecarwithstar@gmail.com. That's inthecarwithstar@gmail.com. And before I get going, I hear you clearly, Big Sean. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Rick. I appreciate that very much. See, this is what I'm used to. I can get the text coming in. I can put you up on my screen. So, so kind of what I've been doing for a minute, has been just going directly on youtube.com and then going from there. Whereas now, I don't know how much people care about this. I feel like I'm wasting your time. I apologize. So I'm using a third-party streaming service called StreamYard that I can link directly to my YouTube channel, and I've never really had problems with this before. And so I had set up the YouTube on youtube.com for today's live stream, and right off the hop, the settings look good. Everything was good. My microphone is a very good high-end microphone, and for whatever reason, maybe my laptop isn't that good, and the uploading processing time is a bit slow and not powerful enough, but I'm done wasting your time. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for supporting this channel. It's been 28 days more or less since I kickstarted this YouTube show again, and the positivity, the engagement, and y'all coming up big time supporting what I'm doing, creating a little bit more Montreal Canadiens content. Happy to do it. I love to do it. It's very much a passion project of mine. And I can always be reached at inthecarwithstar@gmail.com. And you can find me along with my partner, Connor McKenna, weekdays on TSN 690 between 6 and 10 a.m. And this comment here from Roberto, we need zipper sound effects. That was funny. That was a callback to the morning show with me and Connor today, where we brought up a caller, and the first thing as soon as we potted up his audio was like the sound of a zipper. So thank you, Roberto, for being an attentive listener. And here we are just past 11 o'clock with the headline that says, "Are the Canadiens in the mix?" And before you laugh me out of the room, okay? Before you laugh me out of the room, hear me out for 1 second. Montreal coming in off a rather impressive 3-0 win over the Nashville Predators, who are reeling. They have lost 6 games in a row, the Preds have. And if I do a little bit of a callback to one of the videos I did this week, if you'll recall, about how Montreal must take on this 5-game homestand, and it's a challenge. And the schedule presented itself with a softish kind of opportunity. And I had been told that the Montreal Canadiens had identified this soft spot on their schedule as a way for them to get out of a funk. And if they didn't more or less get out of a funk, maybe there was going to be some issues. And I think we can find some consistency in that take because of the reporting that came out from Monday in the aftermath of the Canadiens losing at MSG on Saturday and getting smoked by the Boston Bruins on Sunday, that Jeff Gorton punched the wall of an elevator in front of all the members of the media. Now, I don't think there's a correlation necessarily between the pressure that maybe he's under versus his interpretation of the Canadiens getting jobbed by the referees on Saturday. But to me, it's a little bit of an indicator that there's some pressure and that the season, as poorly as it started, wasn't really that acceptable, even though we know the expectations are kind of low for most of us. But it doesn't change the fact that Montreal is coming off a very impressive 3-0 win over Nashville. And yes, the team is back in the mix today. Like it or lump it. This is not ultimate fanboy take, my friends. This is the real deal. Montreal, granted, the bottom of the NHL's Atlantic Division, with 23 points, but they are 4 points out of a wild card spot. The second wild card spot currently held by the New York Rangers, and the Montreal Canadiens are just 4 points out, and they've won 2 games in a row for the third time this season. They're going to be aiming to put up their longest losing streak of the season when they take on Washington at the Bell Center on Saturday. And here's a funny little wrinkle about that game. The Washington Capitals play tonight. Guess where they're playing? The Big Smoke, Toronto. So just like Nashville, and it's been a little bit of a trend, like the hockey gods are doing the Canadiens a solid, right? Like Nashville played in Toronto, had UC Saros. They lose the game 3-2. They gave up 3 goals in the third period on a Wednesday night. Come to Montreal, they don't score a goal. Washington plays in Toronto. I assume they're going to go with their number one goaltender, and Montreal is probably going to get the backup again, and we'll see what Toronto does to the Washington Capitals. But it doesn't change the fact that Montreal is playing a lot better hockey, and I think we can get into quickly the nuts and bolts, the whys, and the hows. And I think there's also a lesson we can learn here about what some players are doing, even though they're not necessarily factoring in on the score sheet on a nightly basis. And you know what the lesson is for me? The lesson is for me, Sean Monahan and Jake Allen. And you know who I apply that lesson to? Your boy, Joel Armia. Now, Joel Armia scored the third and final goal for the Canadiens on Thursday into an empty net. And the work that Joel Armia does is easy for most of us to see it and go, hey, what's this guy doing? I look at the points, I look at the box score, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I've got a job. I don't have all the time in the world to get into the weeds on what the Canadiens' depth players are doing. Give me the quick ABCs and I'll make a judgment there. That's how a lot of fans operate. But you have to pay attention to the Joel Armia stuff. Joel Armia plays dirty minutes. He plays heavy minutes. He plays responsible minutes. And it's not a coincidence that Joel Armia, despite the lack of point production, was named to the Finnish national team this week, along with Patrick Laine and Sam Montembeault. So if you're one of those fans that wants a little skin in the game, that your club team has some representation at a tournament like the Four Nations starting February 12th here in Montreal, that Joel Armia is on the Finnish national team. And we know why, right? Like, we've paid attention to Joel Armia in Montreal. We saw him rise to the occasion. We saw him play up to a level that is hard to match up against. This guy grinds on the wall. This guy gets into corners. This guy can score tasty little big-time goals when you need him to step up. Joel Armia has shown on a consistent basis, as far as I'm concerned, the ability to rise to the occasion, and I think that's why he was there when Finland made their roster public. And be careful what you wish for, because he's going to be very hard to replace. And listen, I make a case for Joel Armia. I believe Joel Armia has some value as we get closer to that March 7th trade deadline, because there's going to be a team that knows Armia, that knows what he's done over his career, and they're going to need a guy, a big boy like that, come playoff time for a team that wants to go 2-3 rounds deep into their playoff run. So we learned that lesson with the value that Jake Allen brought as an experienced, calm veteran goaltender. We understood the value that a guy like Sean Monahan brought when he was healthy and in the lineup on the regular. And you see what he's doing with Columbus. And it won't be any different, I don't think, when it comes to Joel Armia and the fact that he's probably going to be one of those guys dealt, one of those 4 pending UFAs, along with Christian Dvorak, who had a breakaway in the second period on Thursday night against Nashville. Jake Evans, who scored the first goal, scored the game winner Thursday, shorthanded in that first period. And David Savard, who also had a breakaway Thursday in Nashville. And I don't know about you, while I got David Savard on the tip of my tongue, where did that speed come from? Where did that speed from David Savard come from? That was unbelievable. Justin Barron, Christian Dvorak, and David Savard, boom, 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 boom. Montreal Canadiens had their opportunities to absolutely bury the Nashville Predators on Thursday. But not everything is perfect. Not everything is perfect. Which takes us to Kirby Dach. Kirby Dach, as kind of we spoke about here, what's going to happen with Kirby Dach's development now that Patrick Laine is back? And Patrick Laine has goals in back-to-back games. Scored both of them on the power play, scored his second in as many games in a 5-on-3 situation. What's going to happen with Kirby Dach, who, if you didn't stay up or watch the entirety of the 3-0 win Thursday, he didn't play in the final 11 minutes of the third period and was called out by his coach. He was called out by his coach. He did. And as my partner Connor McKenna brought up on the program on TSN 690 this morning, Martin St. Louis, if we know things about the coach of the Montreal Canadiens, and we know a few things. We know he's a relatable. We know he's a winner. We know he has the right attitude. The other thing that's been very consistent from MSL is the manner in which he delivers his messages. And I like to say this, I've been saying it a lot lately. When MSL talks, we need to pay attention to what he says, because every now and again, he drops little crumbs, and it's up to you and me to follow the crumbs and follow the trail, because he's telling us stuff. And when Kirby Dach took the slashing penalty, and the Montreal Canadiens took, 3 consecutive penalties in the third period, Martin St. Louis did not like the second half of that game. And they gave Nashville opportunities. And Sam Montembeault was up to the task, obviously. And while we're all talking about Patrik Laine and what he's brought with him in 2 games, Sam Montembeault is kind of in the Laine-palooza under the radar a bit. The Montreal Canadiens don't put up their third 2-game winning streak of the year without Sam Montembeault and what he did on Tuesday and what he did last night against Nashville. Sam Montembeault is on form and full value for his nomination to the 4 Nations representing Canada. And I don't buy into the story that came out of Edmonton from John Shannon about there was political motivation behind naming Sam Montembeault to Team Canada's roster because there wasn't a single player on Canada that comes from Quebec. I don't believe that. Sam Montembeault helped win gold for the World Championships for Canada. Carey Price has helped him certainly get better as a goaltender. We remember that from a year, if not a year and a half ago. And Sam Montembeault, playing in front of a not very good competitive team, has put up good numbers and is incrementally getting better. Good to see his save percentage above .905 after a 29-save, 3-0 shutout win, his third of the season, which, by the way, I don't know if you know or are aware or even care what 3 shutouts means to the rest of the league. It's right there with Connor Hellebuck, arguably in the conversation for the top 3 goaltenders in the National Hockey League, and Connor Hellebuck has 3 shutouts, tied for the NHL lead with Sam Montembeault. So Sam Montembeault, as far as I'm concerned, earned the nomination, put the steps together to earn the nomination. And you know what's amazing about Sam Montembeault, and sometimes it gets lost in the shuffle because we live in the here and now, and what's at the tip of our nose is all we kind of care about. Sam Montembeault was a waiver pickup. You know, when we heard Patrik Laine after Thursday night's win talk about, you know, him playing for Finland, possibly, you know, having to compete with Canada, and you know, has Laine scored on Montembeault? Laine mentioned that he has scored a couple of times on Sam Montembeault way back in the day. But the point doesn't change when it comes to what Sam Montembeault has done in terms of where he was, Florida Panther reject, waiver claim Sam Montembeault, to the point where now he and his family have financial security. This guy has put in unbelievable hours in terms of getting better as a professional hockey player. And I'm happy to see him be rewarded for all the hard work that he has put in. He was a waiver claim, and now he's a top 3 goaltender for Team Canada. And he very much has looked the part lately, and it's why the Montreal Canadiens, don't laugh at me, don't laugh. The Canadiens, after 26 games, are in the mix. They're in the mix. They did it. They are in the mix. I can't believe it. I can't believe they're in the mix. They're 4 points out of a playoff spot, and I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great, grand, wonderful. I love watching this team. They have been so fun. That second period against Nashville on Thursday was edge of your seat. Frustrating, for sure. I get it, with the amount of breakaways and the lack of goals. Justin Barron, David Savard, Christian Dvorak, all over the place. Cole Caulfield, all over the place. Lane bleeping Hudson. Lane Hudson. Like, I am going to lose my mind talking about this guy. I love watching Lane Hudson play. And I want to get into Lane Hudson because there's another element of what I think I'm watching, and I want to communicate this to you. I mean, we all see what Lane Hudson brings, right? But have you noticed this about 48 lately? Have you noticed this? Have you noticed that he's already changed how he attacks or how he defends? Montreal played game number 26 Thursday. Lane Hudson, prior to the start of this year, played 2 games in the NHL last year. And I'm going to remember Lane Hudson shimmy at the blue line, Yuri Slafkovsky on the rebound, garbage goal. And I was like, wow. When I watch young defensemen walk the blue line with confidence, like, I'm not so sure we understand exactly how difficult that is at that level and making guys miss. But the brilliant part about 48's game is this for me. In the first 10 to 15 games, we saw Lane Hudson break left and then go right. Have you seen that lately? I haven't. I've seen a guy with an exceptionally high hockey IQ, and I'm going to tell you a few examples that show that to me. He's already adjusted to what forecheckers and defensemen plan to do. Have you noticed there aren't a lot of guys that rush Lane Hudson in a straight line lately? Doesn't exist that much, right? The NHL is all about adaptation. It's like that baseball analogy, right? Oh, 1-2 times through the lineup? Okay. Third time through the lineup? I've got your habits. I've got your tendencies. That's how pro sports exist. And the creme de la creme of pro sports are constantly in an adjustment period. And Lane Hudson, with 28 games, is already outsmarting some of the better players in the National Hockey League. Like, where is this guy's ceiling? Tell me to calm down because I'm going to lose my mind watching this guy play. That the Montreal Canadiens finally have a guy like this. And when I watch Lane Hudson manipulate his body in a foot race to the corner boards in the Canadiens' own end, and he twists himself around to allow the Nashville forward into the boards first. Lane follows him, picks his stick, gets the puck, and it's out. Gone. Like, who? What? Where did you come from? I mean, this guy is worth the price of admission just to watch how his brain works on the ice to me. And then we can see the passes, the dishes, helping set up the Patrick Laine 5-on-3 goal, which was really a kind of a 5-on-2 because the guy in front of Laine lost his stick. But it didn't change the fact that Laine's heavy shot, once again, was in a fine form. Patrick Laine played over 17 minutes and had 7 total shot attempts. So he was all over the place and did so without Kirby Dach, who didn't play in the last 11 minutes. But I wanted to put some shine on Lane Hudson because when you see a guy like that at that age with a very small, less than 30 game sample size, and he's already given opposing forecheckers and defensemen a completely different look, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. And again, as I spoke to you moments ago about the work that Sam Montembeault has put in to become the goaltender he's turned into, waiver wire Sam Montembeault when the Canadiens got him, that Lane Hudson was the first on the ice on a skate on Thursday. And when he was out there on his own, what was he doing? Pounding shots, shot after shot after shot after shot. It's been 28 games, 48 does not have a goal. But he does have, 6 points in his last 5 games. He's on a 5-game point streak. And once again, his mental game, how he processes information, might be the best on the Montreal Canadiens. How he reacts, adapts to his environment at an exceptionally high rate of speed, I think is the best on the Montreal Canadiens. And while I'm with you on Canadiens defensemen, can we talk about Jaden Struble for a minute? Can we talk about Arbor Jacki for a minute? Because I know I've been talking to you about both guys for a while. And my perspective on this hasn't really changed. I believe, and I've said this for the last couple of weeks to you guys, that we're watching players audition for future roles for belief in upper management that they have identified the right pieces to move forward with. And the audition for me, if I'm speaking solely on the defensive side of the organization, comes in 3 waves. Jaden Struble, Arbor Jacki, and Justin Barron. And I think as the season moves on, as the games continue to pass us by, I think at this point, Justin Barron has found himself amongst those 3 guys on the bottom rung of players that I'm not so sure when management looks at the who's who and the comfort level moving forward together. I think Justin Barron is on the bottom rung. Jaden Struble hitting Smith along the half wall has been a consistent part of Struble's game. He hits to hurt. He hits to separate the man from the puck, and he doesn't go out of his way to do it. And that brings me to Arbor Jacki. Yes, not the great penalty. The Canadiens kind of didn't have their best version in the second half of that game. The first and second, or half of the second period, Montreal was all over it. And that's what you want to see. You want to see a team that is playing their second game in as many nights with the backup goaltender. You want to see Montreal push, bully the opposition. And I think that was a very positive step. Montreal is the 31st ranked team in hockey. I don't think they're as bad as being 31st in hockey. I don't think they're as good as being top 16 in hockey, but they are in the mix. And you're seeing incremental improvement that makes me have that opinion. And Arbor Jacki is definitely a very strong factor in that equation for me. And I love the maturation of his game. And, if you go back to a couple of the videos I did on my YouTube channel, I mentioned the audition part. I mentioned the fact that I wasn't exactly happy all the time with how maybe someone like Adam Nicholas was handling Arbor Jacki, how what I felt was calling Arbor Jacki out, maybe singling him out, right? And maybe in hindsight, my read on that, my sensitivity on that was wrong. And if there's a guy who knows the locker room, shit, it ain't me. I'm not there. It's Martin St. Louis. And if Martin St. Louis knows how to push the buttons, and if Arbor Jacki is the guy that, if a public kicking in the pants is what's going to get him going, then I will defer to the coach that he knows that. And maybe that's why he did that with Kirby Dach, which is interesting because Kirby Dach was benched for 11 minutes and was singled out. Martin St. Louis takes pregnant pauses when he speaks. He doesn't speak like me, a motor mouth sometimes, He pauses. You could see him thinking about what he's going to say. And when he mentioned Kirby Dach by name, that said something. But again, I try to grow and I try to learn. I try to learn how to analyze what Martin St. Louis is doing. I'm sorry for that. I got distracted. I got distracted by this guy here. FX1883. Use OBS. OBS is a free open source, whatever. It's a free third-party streaming service. Why do I need to use OBS? Because if you've been following me for a while, and I got off my tangent here, I'm having trouble streaming live on YouTube.com, so I'm on StreamYard. It's like a third-party, second-party service that I connect to my YouTube so I can get this here to you, but I don't see anything in the comments that leads me to believe that I am shit in the bed here with StreamYard. Nick, Sean, love the enthusiasm. They've turned around. Hockey in the city is excited again. Habs shouldn't even discuss a trade with Jake Evans. He's a winner. So that's a good one. That's a good one with Jake Evans because, scored a goal, scored a shorty. I mean, the guy's Charlie Hustle. He works hard all the time. Kind of like a poor man's Brendan Gallagher, poor man. Like Jake Evans isn't a 30-goal guy, but he reminds me in a way of Gallagher with this one aspect. You need something to get going. You need a spark plug. Have you noticed that Jake Evans is and has been that guy playing second line center role, moving up and down the lineup? That's been something I've noticed. But you tell me, I'm kind of stuck. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure about Jake Evans. I like Jake Evans, but I think the timing isn't great for Jake Evans as a future Montreal Canadien. Because this is how I see Jake Evans. I see Jake Evans as a team that the New York Rangers would love to have. The Dallas Stars would love to have. The Minnesota Wild would love to have. Teams that are thinking today, we can go on a run. And they need depth, energy, responsible guys. And sometimes, as I mentioned with Joel Armia at the top of this live stream today, be careful what you wish for because sometimes you don't know what you have. And guys like Armia and Jake Evans, I classify them as dirty minute players. Dirty minute players. That's who they are. They play hard minutes. They play defensive minutes. Defense is one thing, hard work, and they do it very well and they do it consistently. So those little things, right? Like we all talk about trade this guy, trade that guy, bring this guy up from Laval because the Rocket are on a heater. By the way, the Rocket are playing the Marlies on Friday and Saturday at Place Bell. Go check them out live. Go check out my video I did with Sean Campbell. I think the headline is this the next star of the Montreal Canadiens as we got in the weeds on Logan Mailloux? I think you're going to like what Sean Campbell had to say. Campbell lives the Rocket life. He's their play-by-play man on TSN 690, so he knows of what he speaks, you know. But be careful, because these dirty minute players, the Armias of the world and the Jake Evans of the world, that, my friends, is a learned skill. That is a reps skill. The reps have been pounded into muscle memory, and that's why they look how they look. So if you're looking at the next wave, the Owen Becks, the Luke Tucks, the Davidsons, guys from Laval, understand that these inexperienced NHLers are going to come in and might be tasked with playing heavy, responsible minutes where mistakes can't really happen a lot of the time. And it's part of the reason why, you know, one of the best elements of the Montreal Canadiens, despite their lack of points and lack of success through 26 games, has been special teams. Where do the Canadiens have the best shorthanded home team in the NHL? Top 10 power play unit, you know? So if they can minimize those mistakes 5-on-5, if Montreal can find a way to become better at scoring on their opportunities, the Montreal Canadiens, dare I say, are going to shoot up the ladder of the Eastern Conference standings. And I'm not kidding. I'm not. Sam Montembeault has been playing very, very strong hockey. They're 4 points out of the second wildcard spot. And you tell me, like, good teams, right? Like the teams we look at that are locks to be in the playoffs. Those teams, with the amount of chances the Canadiens have had this week, and certainly Thursday against Nashville, good teams, playoff-bound teams, conference contending teams, they score at least once, if not at least two of those goals. I mean, Justin Barron, holy shnikes. There was nobody around this guy. This guy had open space like I don't think he's ever experienced in his NHL life before. And he didn't finish, didn't score. But again, the Montreal Canadiens, let me remind you, are not a very good team statistically. But you see, and I believe this, I really do, that they are a tight team. They are a together team. And I'll be fascinated to see what Patrick Laine's experience is like and the appetite he has to continue. And there's a lot of room left to grow. You know, I had asked the boys on TSN 690 this week about Patrick Laine scoring his first goal in his first regular season game as a Hab. I said, maybe I'm getting too crazy, too carried away, but I like an over-under goal total for Patrick Laine for the rest of this season at 19.5 goals. And I don't think a lot has been said about how bad of an environment Winnipeg was at the time. I mean, hell, look at Patrick Laine and look at Dustin Byfuglien. Something was going on in Winnipeg in those years. And so it wasn't great for him in Winnipeg. Columbus, not great for him there. Doesn't play an NHL game for, 355 odd days. And comes to Montreal and is warmly embraced by his new teammates. Look at the reaction of Cole Caulfield when Patrick Laine scored his first goal in the regular season as a Canadian. I think Caulfield was happier for Laine than Laine was for himself after that goal on Tuesday night. So I think, and I mean it, and I think I see it, I really do, that he's in a warm environment. He's in a nurturing environment, an environment where he can be comfortable and dare I say, thrive with the Montreal Canadiens. This is a different team. It's a different organization, definitely different than the one we all lived through over the last 10 years. Who do we got here? Bob's your uncle. Bob's your uncle. Hey, Sean. Thank you for spelling my name correctly. First time on the channel here. Bob, welcome. And you're always welcome. You're always welcome on my channel anytime. Sean McIntyre, what's up? Jake is a good number 2. Coming back in a trade, not a draft pick. If they get him, trade him. Someone wants the cut bad and could help with it. Sean, I do. I see it very much. Again, in a perfect world, it would be great if the Montreal Canadiens were a little bit more competitive. Owen Beck and Luke Tuck will become elite dirty minute guys. From your lips, Mark. Cheknita. From your lips, Mark, that these guys, because we saw the value of Joel Armia. We see the value in what Jake Evans can bring. And it just, when I watched that game, when I watched this team this week, it reminded me of Jake Allen and how important he really was to stabilizing the goaltending position, and the same thing with Sean Monahan, just having that depth, that credible depth, that productive depth. And Joel Armia sometimes doesn't factor in on the scoreboard a lot of the time, but he really does because he keeps goals off the board sometimes. More comments coming in. Patrick, are the people who don't want to trade Evans, is it because they remember the trade of Artturi Lehkonen and his success with Colorado? Good question, Patrick. And I think, I was a big Artturi Lehkonen fan. And one thing I had heard from the organization, right, was Artturi Lehkonen, who was a big fan of Clark Cafe sandwiches. My buddy Frank would always tell me, he goes, is this guy Artturi L keeps ordering cutlet sandwiches. I'm like, bro, how many Artturi L's live in Montreal? How many of them? Like one, but I always like Artturi Lehkonen, and I could tell you this little anecdote that I learned during his time here in his final days in Montreal was that Lehkonen was very high on himself. And I think he looked at Joel Armia and he's like, Joel Armia got that extension from Bergevin? Like, where's my money? I should be getting Joel Armia money. And the Canadiens are like, we're not so sure you're going to get Joel Armia money. And said, oh yeah, okay. And then he's in Colorado. And so I think there was a little bit of that at play. And obviously Artturi Lehkonen goes to Colorado and is a Stanley Cup champ, scores a goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and the rest, as they say, is history. And there's a lesson there, Patrick, for sure. There's a lesson there. But I don't think you can operate scared. I think you have to operate under this banner of confidence that, yes, you're going to probably trade Jake Evans and you're going to get another pick and you're going to throw that pick on the pile that is already filled to the brim with picks. And you're going to be confident knowing that you have guys on the come up, whether it's a Tuck or an Owen Beck, that will be molded into that responsible, dirty minute player. So lots of comments coming in, and absolutely lots of people talking about Artturi Lehkonen win the Stanley Cup. He was a fan favorite. Thanks for the nice welcome, Sean. I do think I saw one of your in the car videos a long time ago. Listen, Bobby's your uncle. It's okay, brother. There's lots of content out there. There's lots of good people doing lots of fun and exciting things. I am just trying to put my own imprint on this. And, like I had mentioned before, I have fun. I like doing this very much. I love talking to the public. I love talking about the Montreal Canadiens. And as you can see, it's not like my screen is filled. There isn't a single sponsor. There isn't a single banner other than inthecarwithstar@gmail.com is my email address. That this is not a for-profit enterprise. Not that I'm allergic to profitability, but it's not the motivation. I'll put it that way. My motivation is to talk to y'all and just to provide a little bit more Montreal Canadiens content because I just love it. Let's see this comment here. Show, thank you. Hey, from Taiwan. Why didn't you upload the morning show? I did upload the morning show. The morning show on TSN 690 with yours truly and Connor McKenna gets uploaded every day, all 4 hours. Each and every hour gets uploaded. Go to the iHeart Radio app, find the TSN 690 morning show, and every hour 1, 2, 3, and 4 is up there. If it's not up there today, that means there was some sort of technical flaw because the podcasting at TSN 690 for all of your favorite daytime shows, it's all automated. Like, I don't do that manually. If you go to tsn690.ca and hit the morning show tab, you're going to see our interview we did with Darren Dreger this morning. That I did. That's up there. But as far as each hour of the TSN 690 morning show, that's exclusively on the iHeart Radio app, TSN 690 morning show, and then each hour will be individually broken down. So the Montreal Canadiens, I kid you not, I don't think it was clickbaity. I think it's factual. The Montreal Canadiens are in the mix, and we are here for the ride together. 4 points out of a wild card spot. Jacob Trouba is a healthy scratch for the New York Rangers. Like, bleep is hitting the fan in Manhattan. Like, he's not hurt. There's no real logical explanation other than the Rangers are, like, getting set for what I think might be a seismic shift. There's so many big names on the block. Chris Kreider, Zibanejad, maybe, so yeah, lots going on with Chris Drury. And and the New York Rangers for sure. More comments coming in today. Oh my gosh, so many comments. Thank you, everybody. This is great. Let's see. Come play 18 in Taiwan. It's endless golf season. Oh my gosh. So what do you think of this? What do you think of this? I've got 54 of you all on a Friday at 11:38. Thank you. Thank you for watching my live stream. So you see this golf bag here in the mix. Okay, hold on. Bob's your uncle in the mix. Let me get to this. Bob's been asking this question. In the mix is this. 4 points out of a playoff spot, Bob. Ask an easy question, get an easy answer. I honestly believe it's in the mix. Like they've played 26 out of 82 games. And they're 4 points out of the second wildcard spot for a team that has been hovering around 30th to 31st all year long. What's up, Zeph? Zeph LeCav, come on, man. A week ago, many fans wanted to fire the coach, Doc, Hughes, etc. Yeah, that's the fans' perspective. That was never, ever, ever my perspective. It was never my perspective, Zeph. So, fans are going to fan, and I'm a fan too, but like I try to get out of my feelings. And what I always ask people, right? When I always ask people, fire the coach, Doc's a bum, Hughes can't assemble a hockey team, he was an agent. I ask you this question. What did you think was going to happen this year? Honestly, what? What did you think was going to happen? I had very little expectations for this season. I did. And I think professional athletes thrive in the world in which you tell them they can't do things. You suck. Your team is weak. Your team is small. Your team can't sustain an 82-game season. They love hearing that stuff. They love it. They thrive in the environment. Most of them do, right? So I think, this is my own opinion, I think the Montreal Canadiens strategically came out and said a lot of positive things, talked with their chest out. We're in the mix, right? Gets people talking. Gets some people to come out and say, no, you're not in the mix. What are you talking about? Look where you were last year. How are you going to be so much better? The Vegas odds makers had the over-under season point total for the Montreal Canadiens in 2024-2025 at over-under 76.5 points. How many points did the Canadiens finish with last year? The answer is 76. So what did Vegas see versus what we in Montreal thought about this team? So my expectations were low. For a variety of reasons. There were a lot of variables. Defensemen learning the position, learning MSL system, incorporating new players, a healthy Kirby Dach as the biggest X factor on this team, end of sentence. Kirby Dach, could he finally transition to be a number 2 center and build off of that and make his wingers better? How is Juraj Slafkovsky going to improve on a 20-goal campaign? How is he going to do that, right? So there were a lot of variables that for me was hard to just assume that all those variables were going to be consistent and they were going to break free, right? It was hard for me to get there mentally. So as I've said for a long time now, the Montreal Canadiens have Martin St. Louis, who I believe is the perfect coach at the perfect time. Now, when the team is ready to level up, when we believe collectively that the talent has arrived and Demidov is great and Reinbacher is healthy and a good right side defenseman in a shutdown role, and Slafkovsky is looking more consistent and Kirby Dach as hit and Laine is healthy and scoring, at that point, we can have another discussion about MSL and whether or not we believe versus the pattern of behavior that he can evolve and can be a coach that can guide a team on a deep playoff run all the way to a Stanley Cup. But we're obviously not there yet. So that's kind of my defense. And I know, Zeph, it's not about me. I'm communicating to the fans that get quick triggered reaction. And the Montreal Canadiens are a very personable brand. Keith Green, they're playing weak teams this month. I know. I know. And if you go back to the video I did early this week with the headline that is, "This is a big week for the Montreal Canadiens," Keith, I highlighted exactly why I believed this 5-game homestand was going to put the Canadiens in a position where they had to decide some things. So quickly, let's play best case, worst case, okay? About this 5-game homestand. And I like the thinking of they are playing weak teams in the month of December. Who are the Canadiens? The Canadiens are not a team that goes into a matchup thinking, "Oh, we've got Nashville, losers of 5 in a row. We're going to get right against Nashville." The Canadiens are the 31st ranked team points-wise in the National Hockey League. The Canadiens are a weak team statistically. So that kind of thinking doesn't work for me. Teams come to the Bell Center, teams match up with Montreal and say, "Okay, here's a soft spot for us. This is a get-right game for us." That's how they treat the Montreal Canadiens. But the Canadiens have developed better habits, and they're starting to win and look a lot more organized. And their games have started better, and they're delivering more consistent efforts line after line after line. And when they get in a rhythm, yeah, they're fun to watch again. But this week, Keith and everybody else, this week, the Montreal Canadiens took the 5 games as an opportunity to see exactly where they are. Could they, to a man, be better, be more aggressive, take it to the opposition, And the answer in 2 games is yes. And they've got Washington tomorrow, a much steeper challenge than the first 2 games we've watched this week. And then they have Anaheim on a Monday and a Pittsburgh on a Thursday, and that is it. And so Washington plays in Toronto tonight, and then they're here in Montreal tomorrow. So an opportunity for Montreal to take advantage of a heavy-legged Washington Capitals team. But the point I had been making this entire week, more or less, was a soft spot in the schedule, no doubt. But let's see how the Montreal Canadiens handled weak opposition. And so far, job well done, right? Statistically, yes, the Habs are 4 point outs, but there are 7 teams ahead of them. It's going to take a huge and extended winning streak to get it close. Let's put a pause on this. Are the Montreal Canadiens back in the mix? Yes. Do I see it happening? Different question, different discussion altogether. It's about little small steps, incremental building blocks that lead me to believe that what they're doing is the right process. That's all I'm saying. They are fun to watch. They're more organized. Can they do a better job at putting up a complete game? Without question. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm asking for a complete game. The Montreal Canadiens have not put together a complete game. So, first half of the game, first 30 minutes of the game, the Canadiens were by far the much better team Thursday against Nashville. But yeah, they make some mistakes. They take 3 consecutive penalties in the third period. Sam Montembeault has to be exceptionally strong, and they win the game, right? But yes, they lack execution. They lack, obviously, finishing touches. And this is where the 31st ranked team is in hockey. But my bar is still very low. But it goes to show you how much parity exists in the National Hockey League. To Uncle Bob's point. Shout out, Uncle Bob. 7 teams ahead of them. Yes, there's a lot of parity in the National Hockey League. Hell, I mean, Chicago Blackhawks beat the defending Stanley Cup champs the other day. Dallas Stars, one of the best teams in hockey, they lost to a bum team the other day. Colorado can't stop conceding goals. There's so much parity in the NHL, and there's really no perfect team. So, yes, are they in the mix? I say they are in the mix. They're 4 points out. I want this team this year. I don't want to be here with you, everybody, talking about draft picks, top 5 picks in January. I really don't. I want to be talking about this team playing more meaningful games in March. That's what I want to be here talking about with you. Incremental steps that make us believe in what they're doing. So that's where we are, my friends. I stand by it. I mean it. Simon Salika's texting me. Yo, he says, what do you want from me? Very busy. So that's what I want to see. And, when I began this week on my channel, I talked about how big this week was. And they're doing kind of what I thought they were going to do. And seeing the growth of Arbor Jacki, seeing Jaden Struble be better. I mean, Cole Caulfield's all over the place. Nick Suzuki is playing much better hockey. Why is that? Like, I want to hear from the Fire MSL fans. Like, is it a coincidence? Or are you good giving the coach zero credit for a much better version of his hockey team? And I also, I always like to say I'm not an I told you so guy, but all I've been doing is I told you so's. What a jerk face. And but remember, this week we learned that on Tuesday, that was the first time in 225 games that Coach Martin St. Louis had a full, healthy roster to play with. Thursday against Nashville was game number 2. So it's just fun to see. And I'm glad they're playing a more entertaining brand of hockey. How much fun was that second period against Nashville? The back and forth nature, big hits, breakaways, David Savard on a speed burst, like I'm playing NHL hockey on Sega Genesis again. Even Christian Dvorak looked dangerous. When was the last time you said that? You know who didn't look dangerous? Your boy Alex Newhook, still on 0 assists. It's, let's see. Athanasios, Tikanisere. It's called development, growth. For the players and the coach, we love to see it. Absolutely. So the comments still coming in. Thank you so much for watching. And I'll have more on the weekend. Canadiens host Nashville. Canadiens host Washington tomorrow. Capitals play in Toronto tonight. And I think I'm going to do a little something with Sean Campbell on the value of a Jake Evans, of a David Savard, of a Christian Dvorak, of a Joel Armia, And I learned something watching the Canadiens yesterday. You know what I learned? I learned the value of Joel Armia through the value of Jake Allen and Sean Monahan. And it's unfortunate because the goaltending situation in Montreal is interesting. I think Caden Primo, if I had to guess, has played himself out of the depth chart. And that my understanding is, as it relates to Canadian goaltending, my belief, and this may change, but what I've been told is Jakub Dobesh in Laval is going to stay in Laval. Connor Hughes, the other goaltender with the Rocket, came over from Europe, so at least he has a little bit more seasoning when it comes to professional hockey, whereas Dobesh is coming from the NCAA. Excuse me. So that's kind of what I was told. But, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. And we'll see if that changes or not. But my belief is that guys like Logan Mailloux, guys like Jakub Dobesh are going to stay in Laval with Pascal Vincent for the duration of the American Hockey League season. But that could change if Primo it turns into a sieve and can't find his form, or a better version of it anyway. Maybe that changes things. But in the here and now, I think Caden Primo is in trouble with his future as a Montreal Canadien. And even if I'm not afraid of the waiver wire, are you afraid of the waiver wire as it relates to Caden Primo? I didn't think so. Rick Springhetti in the chat, talking about Chicago, what an awful move getting rid of Coach Luca Richardson. That team is awful. What could he possibly do with that roster? Good call as always, Rick. And it's funny too, because it's the same thing. Like when I learned of the news that the Blackhawks fired Richardson, right? And I'm sure there had to be an element of organizational embarrassment there. Your generational star doesn't make Team Canada 4 Nations. They healthy scratch Taylor Hall, 15-year vet, and they didn't even tell him until they healthy scratch him. Like, they didn't call him the day before, And then they moved Connor Bedard on the wing for a bit. I'm like, I didn't think you put the Blackhawks in the most flattering light, but I still think it was a little bit of a dirty move firing Luke Richardson in Chicago, because isn't it the same logic that you apply in Montreal? Like, what did you think the Hawks were going to look like? They're statistically the worst team in hockey. Like, did you think they were going to be the best team in hockey? Did you think they were going to be average? Like, sometimes, I don't know, if people are guilty of getting in their feelings a little bit. I like this one here. Paul, Chicago should trade us Bedard for Doc. I would make that deal today. Yeah. You want to give me a project player? If there's anybody that knows what it's like about moving a center to the wing, it's the bleeping Montreal Canadiens. They have a PhD in moving centers to the wing. Connor Bedard would be an absolute sensation with the Montreal Canadiens. And obviously, Paul is joking. Clearly, thank you for that. So thank you for watching. And before I let you go, so see this golf bag right there? My staff bag, my Titleist staff bag. Dare I say, because I love doing this. I love being on YouTube with you, and the support is very good. It's heartwarming. It's overwhelming. I guess I'm kind of shocked at all the love and support I've been getting here for the last 28 days or so since I kicked the Sean Star, got it off the ground again. I'll be very honest. I'm a passionate golfer, right? I got my Kanawaki logo on here. I got my golf bag behind me. I play a lot of golf in the summer. When I started doing this, I had a vision. And I have a lot of drive. I have a lot of ambition. I'm not a lazy guy, really. As you can see, I just got off the air, did 4 hours to talk radio. I'm back here. And this is minute number 51. I didn't intend to go this long, but sometimes I can't shut up. So clearly, this is a passion of mine, right? And no money here. I don't know why I keep thinking that's an important thing, but my vision for this channel and what I want to do is I want to take you on the golf course with me. And I don't know how that's going to work, if that is going to be entertaining, how much work is that going to entail, from filming to coming back with the content, editing it together, and then ultimately posting it, right? I think the editing is the more tedious, challenging aspect of doing this. But my vision is to take you on the golf course with me and some of my friends, maybe people you know at TSN 690. Would you like to see a golf challenge between me and Simon Salikas and Mitch Gallo and Sean Campbell? Golfers, friends at the radio station. And even this one, look, even this, as just an example, Rick Spaghetti, I'd love to play a round of golf with you mini putt style. So how much fun, in my head, okay? In my head, I think going out to, what's that, Cascade in La Prairie, the big leagues of mini putt in the South Shore, right? And what if we just film some content and I edit it together and it is, 20 minutes, 30 minutes of lighthearted fun with me, my friends, playing golf, having a laugh, maybe doing some challenges. Again, I'm not asking you to sit there for 90 minutes. I'm not asking you to sit there for 4 hours like a round of golf on TV. But no, just maybe follow me around with a couple of my buddies. I pitched this idea to Gallo and Campbell. I'm the better golfer of those two guys, okay? I think I come in with a pretty strong 3 handicap. Am I 2 or a 3 now? I'm not sure. Whatever. I'll take the extra shot. Make me a 3 handicap. These guys are hacks extraordinaire, right? And so I want to take them on, me against those 2 bozos, and I'll give them full handicap, whatever their handicap is, and the difference between me and them. So if they're a 18, 20 handicap, and I'm a 3, so they would get 17 shots on me, right? So I'll give them a shot a hole if we do a 9-hole challenge. So I'll do the full handicap system, and I'll play them solo at a golf course, and we'll film it, and we'll have some laughs, have a couple of drinks, type of thing, right? So that is my idea. That is my vision for what I want the Sean Star Show to turn into. So that's it. That's the truth. That's what I want to do, and that's what I hope to do. And if these 2 bozos, have too much on their plates, then you know what I'm going to do? I will go and I will do it myself, just like I'm doing this. This is a one-man show. So, and I'm learning all of this on the fly. I've spent the last, 2 months studying video editing, studying content creation, studying YouTube algorithms, studying how to make a thumbnail. I had no idea how to do all of this stuff. And so I said, you know what? I'm tired of waiting on people. I'm tired of coming up with ideas and they fall on deaf ears, or people have a lot of other things in their lives that occupy their time, and this is what I like to do with my time. So if I can't get people to match my level, then I'm just going to move on and I'm going to do it. And maybe I will stumble upon people that match my level, that are engaging, that are fun personalities. Like, what if Rick Springhetti? And I've met Rick a couple of times. We've known each other way back, going back when we were both in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. I was on the radio. He was a scout. So we go back away, But what if Rick Springhetti, as an example, we do this mini putt challenge together, and he's great on YouTube. He's great on YouTube. I don't know. I could fall ass backwards into this personality, and he could be a hit. And that door, my friends, is open to everybody. To everybody. And the other thing I wanted to do was I wanted to create a kind of a Senka set, a YouTube Senka set, where, maybe on Fridays we could all get together. Maybe I'll open up a kind of a Zoom page, and we could all get together, shoot the shit on the Canadiens, on sports, on golf, on life, on women, food, whatever you want. So these are some of the other ideas that I've had, right? And listen, there have been some people in the comments that have said, Sean, do this, try that, different tidbits. I'm older now, I have thicker skin, and I want to make this as much fun as I possibly can for all of us, so that you watch, I create, we can do this together. So, and I mean this, feel free to send me, Sean, I don't like the golf thing. If you pivot into golf, I'll catch you next fall when your hockey coverage starts again. Sean, do more football. Give us more picks. Do golf stuff. I'll be here. I can't wait for golf. I am here. Open door policy. My email, as you can see, is scrolling on the bottom of the screen. inthecarwithstar@gmail.com. inthecarwithstar@gmail.com. So that's it. I can't be any more honest, any more transparent than I just was over the last few minutes. So thank you so much. What's that? Get an Xbox. You can rip golf with friends. It can get so frustrating. It's guaranteed to be hilarious. I don't know what that means. Get an Xbox, rip golf with friends. I don't know what that means. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm learning all these things. Y'all on YouTube, y'all are young, modern, hip, and all that different stuff. What's up, Scout? I'm glad you're doing this for you and everyone, but in the end, as long as you do what makes you happy, because it would also reflect on your work, just like YouTube channel and on TSN 690. Yeah, for sure. But like everybody else, like, who doesn't have an ego, right? Who doesn't have an ego? So, like, I could put out what I think is the best content in the world. Like, I could do something crazy, so fun, and what I think is great, Like, when I go back, when I do this, I will rewatch this entire video again. I will. I do it every day. I watch everything that I do. I rewatch it. And sometimes I leave a video, like I did one with Sean Campbell and Logan Mailloux. I watched that video, I think, 3 times from beginning to end. And each time I walked away and said, okay, that's pretty good. 13 minutes, good flow, good opinion, point of view. I've been in radio for over 20 years, so I think I have some credibility there. And so I have an open door policy, and I don't want to do something that I think is good that doesn't move the needle. Like, I don't need to be so niche all the time. I can be a little broader to bring more people in, And I do. I love engaging with people. I love riffing off other people. And I think that's what has made me decent on the radio for a long time. Like, I like energy. I like good energy, and I can get inspired, by people that bring good vibes to the room, and I enjoy that. That makes me happy, being around those type of people, and so that's why I threw it out there. That's my vision. There you go. I have bared my soul on what I want to do and how I would like to proceed. And if you would love to come along for the ride, be a part of the ride, we're here and we're not going anywhere. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. And so with that, I bid you adieu. I say thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this. I went 50. I'm going an hour again. It's 12 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything yet. My dog is in the other room waiting, said, why aren't you taking me outside yet? So, yes, I stand by it. The Montreal Canadiens are in the mix. Let's go. We'll see you this weekend.